Now let's talk about the toolbar in a little more detail. Let's first talk about how the toolbar is organized. Going over to the toolbar on the left side of the screen. In the first set of tools, notice that there's 4 in sort of a section. Those tools select and modify objects. So there is the selection tool, the sub-selection tool, the free transform tool. And notice with the free transform tool, you see a little black arrow in the bottom right of any tool indicates that there's a flyout menu underneath that tool. Or in other words, there are hidden tools beneath that tool if you click on that tool and hold your mouse down. So here we have the free transform tool and the gradient transform tool. The first group of tools is used to select and modify objects. The second group of tools are used to draw objects and create artwork in Flash. And here we have the pen tool, the text tool, the line tool, the rectangle tool. Notice that there's that little arrow at the bottom right which indicates there's a flyout menu. So if I click and hold my mouse down, I can see the other tools hidden beneath the rectangle tool, which are the oval tool, the rectangle primitive tool, the oval primitive tool, and the polystar tool. There's the pencil tool, the brush tool, and that's that section. So that's the section used for drawing or creating artwork in Flash. The next section of tools are used to modify strokes and fills. Strokes and fills are what make up shapes. We'll talk more about strokes, fills, and shapes a little bit more later on. But for now, the stroke is an outline of a shape, and the fill is the inner color of a shape. The first tool in this section is the ink bottle tool, which modifies the stroke of a shape. The paint bucket tool modifies the fill of a shape. The eyedropper tool is used to select or what's called sample a color on a shape. So using the eyedropper tool, if you want to capture a color from any object on your stage, you can select that tool, hover over the object, click, and you've successfully captured that color. The eraser tool erases strokes and fills. The next set of tools is used to view your Flash content. And there is the hand tool and the zoom tool. The hand tool is used to pan around the stage. What that means is that you can grab your stage and move it. Kind of like if you created artwork on a piece of paper, and instead of moving the artwork on the paper, you just move the whole paper itself. That's what the hand tool does. The zoom tool zooms in and out of your Flash content. The next tools set stroke colors and fill colors of your shapes. The pencil with the little color picker beneath it is used to select a stroke color. The paint bucket with the color picker beneath it is used to select a fill color. We'll talk about these tools in a lot more detail later on. Below the areas where you can choose a stroke and fill color, the one at the top left changes the stroke color to black and the fill color to white. The one on the right swaps the stroke and fill colors, and the one on the bottom tells Flash not to have a color there. For example, if you wanted to create a shape with no outline, you can use this button. We'll talk more about that later as well. The bottom area of the toolbar is known as the Options area. That area changes based on which tool you have selected. So if you look at the bottom Options area of the toolbar while I select different tools, you'll see that it changes for each tool. We'll talk more about the options for each tool when we learn more about using each individual tool. But what I want you to take away from this is how the toolbar is laid out. One last thing about the toolbar is that you have 2 different views for the toolbar. You can see the toolbar in a single column mode, which we're looking at right now, or a double column mode. You can change the mode at the very top of the toolbar by clicking on the 2 arrows. So now I'm in double column mode, and if I click the 2 arrows again, I'll go back to single column mode. And there's a look at how the toolbar is organized.